Recently, in the Marvel Champion space, there's been a lot of questions regarding current legacy environments, out of print stuff, beta environment, whatever that is, and maybe some X-Men stuff as well. Now, a lot of us were hoping for more answers at the Fantasy Flight Games in-flight report at PAX Unplugged because, well, they kind of told us all the answers would happen there, but they didn't. Okay, say la vie. But they've recently done a live stream over on Fantasy Flight Games YouTube page. I highly recommend watching it if you have not yet. It's an hour and a half long gameplay. It lets you see Synthesoid Smackdown PvP gameplay, which is fun to see as well. So during that, Olivia was at the head of the table, and she was able to discuss a lot of different things that were brought up in chat and questions that people had that she was able to answer. So I just want to go over a couple of things. Like I said, if there's other things that were mentioned in there that you want to talk about, let me know and we could do a separate video on it.
So new rules reference, yes, that'll be coming later this month. Any news on that? It's coming later this month. Inside of it, we'll have a lot of new rules that are referenced, as well as information on the beta test for environments. I know that's been something that the community has really wanted to know, what the environments are going to look like, how it involves with current and legacy. Lots of different terminology I've seen. We call it the environments, and they're in beta testing. And so you guys will have a chance to see those, try them out, give us some feedback, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, Tony Fanchi's been hard at work outlining that for everyone.
Yeah. So we're excited to let you guys see it, whether or not I don't know. I have nothing there.
That's all she ended with there. I think it's interesting that they're calling it beta testing now for current and legacy. Like, I don't see current and legacy like not happening. Like, I think it's gonna happen regardless. I don't know what the community feedback is really gonna be with a lot of this stuff. I just don't know, because I feel like if they ask the community feedback, generally it's going to be people like you and me that are probably, or me and you who are watching this video that are really deep in the Marvel Champions. Most of us would say, I assume, we don't really care about the current environment, right? We're here for the legacy environment, that we want all the cards, we want all the things. And I don't see them reversing course on that. And they're going to talk a little bit more about current and legacy in a bit, so I won't go too far ahead of myself. But I don't know what the beta testing thing can mean. It'd be weird if it was mentioned in the rules reference. I assume the rules reference will mention the environment, and then in the article will mention what the beta testing is, because it'd be weird to put that in your new rules that there's beta testing. I don't know. That just doesn't. I don't know. We'll see when it comes out, and then we'll talk about it, and we'll do a whole video about the rules reference and all the changes and the environments. Because I assume, again, I'm excited for Tony to do all the new rules reference, because I think he does a really good job with that stuff. And I'm sure in it will be the current and legacy environment wording. And so we'll see what that is. And then hopefully on top of that, we'll understand what the beta testing exactly means. So now they get more into, this is a two-parter section, and we'll stop in the middle. They're going to talk about current and legacy, and then they're going to talk about out of print stuff.
All right, while they do that,
it's personal.
I will answer about as much as I can about one of the pressing questions the community has, which both involve environments as well as out-of-print product. First off, I want to say environments and out-of-print product, they're completely unrelated to one another. The environments are largely there as a communication aid between players, so that people can say, hey, I'm playing in the current environment, so I'm only using cards from these last few expansions. This is really useful for like a newer player who might not know all of the expansions that are available and might want to have a smaller card pool that they are overall exposed to. That is the main purpose of environments. It is just there in the same way that a lot of other card games have little shorthand terminology that you can use when you sit down at a table, especially with people at events that you might not be in a close friendship with and might not have talked in detail about the decks you're using. These will allow people to just sit down and have that information.
So I have a little bit of a problem with that. That they have nothing to do with each other. Now, they hired a new marketing person, Josh, I think it was. That was in the in-flight report. I'm sorry, marketing guy, if your name's not Josh. I think it's Josh. But they hired a new marketing guy, and I'm sure he's pretty competent and good at his job, because this feels like a very good way to market this. And I think Olivia's pretty good at marketing too, so the two of them working together on this, I think this is a good way to market it. The reason I have an issue with this, that the idea that they have nothing to do with each other, is because of an article that was written in February 7th of this year by Nate French, the LCG design lead. This was written right after they had the live stream when they kind of just threw out the idea that like, hey, we're gonna have current and legacy environment. Everyone's like, wait, what now? You're gonna do what now? And that's what kind of kicked all of this off. So in the article, they state, talking about current and legacy environments, this practice allows us to define a more accessible current environment, which consists of the core set, any other evergreen, perpetually in print expansions. As of right now, Marvel Champions has no evergreen content. Obviously, it has a core box, but it has no evergreen content. They've only used this terminology of evergreen so far with with Arkham Horror, and they just recently started doing that with in the PAX Unplugged in-flight report. It was the first time we actually saw them mention that this product will be evergreen product, right? Or certain products will be evergreen product. So they've only used it there. They have not done it with Marvel Champions yet, as well as newer expansions that have not yet been retired. In practice, this will approximately be 2 to 3 years worth of active expansions. Just FYI, current and legacy, I don't think has really started officially yet. And then this is why I think she phrases it the way she does. Because honestly, what we're seeing right now, product that is like 2 years old is out of print at this point. So I don't bring it up as like a slight against Nate or Olivia here. It's just more of an FYI. Like if something's about 2 years old and you don't have it and you're interested, I probably get the thing, right? Just FYI to you. 2 to 3 years worth of active expansions. Precise list of what's considered current environment will be maintained, updated by each new line as new products are released or as older products are retired. I think a lot of people, including myself, was hoping that this would be done already so that we would know when things were happening. But again, I don't think they see it yet that current and legacy has started yet. The definition of legacy environment is pretty straightforward. Any product that's ever been printed for the game is part of this environment. All products within each game line will be compatible with all other products from that line, which means if you have a card, you can play in legacy. For those of you who have been playing one of our games for a while, nothing about the legacy environment is technically new except for the name. Up until now, each game's only environment has been if you have a card, it's part of the environment. With this change, longtime players can now choose between playing with all the cards in Legacy, playing with just the new cards in the current, or bouncing back and forth between the formats as they see fit. I think one of the reasons why Olivia's phrasing things the way that they are now, and even FFG with Legacy and current, how they're phrasing things, is because a lot of us that have been around for a while are going, am I going to have to play just the current environment moving forward? Like, is that going to be a requisite of things? And I think the smarter way of what they're doing, and I think this is smart, is saying, no. It's an easier way as you as an older player to know that you have an entire card catalog, and this new person that just started playing Marvel Champions, they may have a smaller one because, in 2, 3, 4 player, I may expect you to have certain justice cards, protection cards, leadership cards, aggression cards, whatever it may be. And maybe you don't have those things yet, right? So because of that, it allows us to know, okay, I know where you're at with the game. So I know what to expect from your decks. And hopefully we just like share decks ahead of time so I know what you have. But it's easier for terminology. And that's how they're phrasing it moving forward. The issue I have with saying that they have nothing to do with each other, they may not in a sense, and I'll get to that in a second. But if it's not a part of the current environment, it sounds like it's going to be retired. If it's retired, I assume it will be out of print. They have a little to do with each other. It's not nothing. I'm sure the way that they're looking at it is that they have these environments they keep, and separately on a business side, things will go out of print. And why are they making this distinction difference here? I'm not 100% sure yet, but my rough idea is that if something is about, let's say the current environment is 3 years old, and they do a print run of a hero that, isn't as popular or whatever, and it doesn't sell super well, and all of a sudden, like, it gets bought up and it's out of print, right? It could still be a part of that current environment as far as what gameplay standards are, which I don't. Again, if it's just us referencing to each other what it is, it seems kind of weird to me. But whatever, I guess. It's a lot. It could still be a part of that environment and be out of print. I think that's what they're kind of saying here. That just because it's current doesn't mean that they're going to keep reprinting the thing, right? If it just doesn't sell well and all of a sudden like the last one of their stock goes out and it just doesn't make sense to reprint that line of product or the full cycle or whatever it may be, they're not going to do it even if it's current environment. That's what I think that they're trying to say here, which again leads me to, if you want the thing, buy the thing at this point. Like, that's a lot of people talk about what's the purchasing strategy for Marvel Champions. At this point, it's if you see it there and you want it, you better buy it, because her phrasing with it makes it sound like, okay, they'll keep current environment up to date and whatever, and it falls to legacy, which is just used for us to like communicate with each other, which, okay. I don't know if we really needed that per se, right? It seems kind of weird because, again, if I'm playing with you at a table and you're a newer player, I'm just going to look at the cards that you have, or I'm going to look at the deck you have, and I'm going to figure out what I can do around that deck, or vice versa, right? Like, we were kind of, I assume, doing that already, but whatever. They want to put official terminology to it. I think there's differences with current with as far as the design space goes, that they are just designing in that current environment for cards that work well with each other, and they're not thinking about like, us using our dive bomb, hone technique strategy as aggression. They're not really thinking about that, so they're just worried about the cards in this environment, and they're not really designing around cards that may be older, right? That's what I assume the current and legacy really is for them. For us, okay, sure, they can say it's that, but there is some correlation in relation to each other with out of print and current environment. I'm going to assume though, again, because I just want to stress this for people. If you want it, you should probably buy it, because the way that this makes it sound like is that even if it's in the current environment, it's not guaranteed to be reprinted. It may be reprinted, we don't know, but it's not guaranteed to. That's kind of how I read into that. All right, next they're going to talk about out of print heroes.
Regarding out of print products, we don't have a lot to say right now. We've talked some about what kind of options we're going to have for out of print product, but at this time, all I can say is for all the heroes, not all, for most of the heroes that I hear people talk about quite regularly, them being difficult to get, we have stated that some of these heroes will be coming back. We've said in one form or another. I do want to be very clear. When we say in one form or another, we are talking about in a playable form, not as an ally card, not as a leader in a PvP mode. We are specifically saying that some of these heroes will come back with new redesigns or small changes, depending on the individual hero. We don't have any to announce right now or reveal, but that is ultimately what we have to say on the subject. I'd love to be able to give you guys more information on the subject, but we just don't have it at the moment.
To me, this is actually massive, what she's saying. And I know it seems like she feels kind of bad of like, I want to like tell you more and whatever. To me, because the leaders that are in it include Captain America. And Captain America is one of the most requested heroes that's out there. It's talked about constantly. Why can't I get Captain America? I want Captain America. Why is he out of print? Blah, blah, blah. And a lot of people worried that, oh, wait, he's a leader. Is this what they meant? Like that Captain America is back and this is how we're getting him and that's it. I think we can read between the lines here and say, no, that's not the case. We're not saying that because you got Captain America in the Civil War box that we're done. We're done here, right? It seems pretty clear that at some point Captain America or Spider-Woman, because those are the only two right now in that box, right? Because the other ones are Captain Marvel and Iron Man, which you can get in the core box, which you already know they're going to keep reprinting as of now, at least. So we know that the only other two options are Spider-Woman and Captain America. So yay for Spider-Woman. I hope they bring her back too. But more importantly with Captain America, because that is the thing that's brought up a ton, is right, am I going to be able to get Captain America? And a lot of people worried about it. Like, is that it? No, I think this was actually pretty much the biggest thing they announced in this, and probably the most important thing that they announced, is that I think it's pretty safe to say at some point we will get another Captain America with some tweaks. It could just be they reprint his old hero pack. Maybe they do that. That's always an option, so they don't have to spend time designing it. But I would assume that they're going to bring him back to fit into whatever the current environment design is and make him a little bit different, because it also makes us as older players rebuy Captain America as well. But I think this was a huge announcement. I think this is really important for what Olivia said. So I really want to stress that for a lot of people that were worried about it, I don't think you have as much to be worried about at some point. I think they're really going to revisit a lot of the old heroes. And I think we may get a wave eventually at some point of quote unquote older heroes to basically rebuy once they're a little further out, because they do want to do well, they're doing Daredevil, right? I'm going to assume they want to do like Fantastic Four and some other things too, but we will be getting that at some point, which I think is pretty, I mean, it's good news. I mean, it's really good news, and it's great to hear for the community, especially new people that are getting to the game that were worried about these products. Hopefully, it's going to be a lot of different things that happen. I'm hoping more for like spider related stuff. Anyone from the Spider-Man series. I'm really excited to get more heroes in that space. All right, last thing I want to bring up is they're going to be talking about X-Men, because X-Men is a big thing, and we'll talk a bit after Olivia goes.
And The question in the chat, will X-Men or mutants ever be revisited? I can confidently say I do think there will be more X-Men cards in the future for Marvel's Champions. Cannot say what, cannot say when, but I think they'll be there.
Yeah, that's a safe enough spoiler to give, I think.
Yeah, like one day
more mutants
there
coming,
will be
for
more
sure.
mutants.
Yes.
We are not using Wanda. This is not No More Mutants.
Okay, I think that's the last thing I should say about that. This is pretty big too. So the whole licensing thing with X-Men that happened in the past was interesting. And I won't get into it too much. If you really want to, come to a live stream and come hang out. But what's interesting about this is because the way that the X-Men licensing has worked in the past is that the reason they did 3 waves in a row is because they were basically allowed to do X-Men stuff, and they couldn't use artwork from regular Avengers or other heroes, right? It had to be related to the X-Men stuff. So I know some people are saying like, oh, well, they said that it's just gonna be some cards or whatever. So they're just gonna like in the Daredevil thing, throw in some X-Men cards. I highly, highly doubt that. Now they've surprised me in the past and maybe that's the case, but I highly doubt that. I would read that as there will be another wave or 2 of X-Men related type content, which I think is massive because a lot of people wanted Beast or Professor X or Emma Frost or whomever else, right? Or whatever villains. The reason she can say that and can say that confidently is probably because they're working on it or they're working on the license for it, and it's basically a done deal at this point. It's not a complete done deal because the way a lot of this stuff works, if you watch my interview with Caleb, is that they will design the heroes and then Mickey Mouse has to go look at it and make sure that it's all like, good to go and whatnot. And then if it is, then they get the approval. So they might still be in that stage of it, but it sounds like the idea of doing more X-Men related stuff will be happening, which is huge, which is absolutely huge. I highly doubt that it's just gonna be a couple of cards, even though I know some people are saying that like, oh, she just said like it's gonna be on cards. No, I think it's gonna be like a wave of X-Men related stuff. Again, it's one of those licensing issues that they've had in the past, and you can see this with other board games too, with like Simon and whatever. That like they had to have like X-Men by itself. Marvel Legendary was kind of like this, but more so with Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four is another licensing weird thing where Fantastic Four in the past is always, with Legendary at least, has always had to be by itself. There was one exception with that, with the 2099 Spider-Man box, I believe, where they allowed to have Doctor Doom 2099 in it. But other than that, like Fantastic Four always had to be by itself. So I assume that's another weird licensing thing that like Fantastic Four has to be by itself as well. But a lot of people are worried, are we ever going to get X-Men again? Is it gone forever? It's not. It's coming back in some form, which I think is really good news and really, really cool. Because again, there's a lot of big fans for X-Men. Just to play a little bit of inside game baseball here, for those that don't know, on my channel and other people's channel, when the X-Men stuff came out, all of our content, like views, like spiked. You can kind of tell on most people's channels that it started doing really well because the X-Men are that popular. And I think that's a good way to kind of drive more excitement for this game, to get more people into it. I think that's really cool. I don't know if they'll revisit some of the older heroes, like maybe they redo Cyclops and Phoenix and whatever. Who knows? Who knows at this point? But it does give the opportunity for someone like Beast, that a lot of people are worried about never getting again, that you can absolutely have a hero like that in the future, possibly. So, like I said, make sure you go check out their whole live stream. It's a good gameplay. They talk about some other small things in chat and whatever, but I think mostly this is good news. I have some questions with the current legacy environment and whatnot, and I think we'll address more of that when it comes out, hopefully by the end of the year, in the rule book, because I assume they're going to have to talk about it in the rules to kind of state what it is, and then I'll comment more on that when it happens. I'm a little confused with the whole beta thing. I guess we'll see at some point what they exactly mean. Again, I hope that's kind of written in an article, but the X-Men news is really good. The out of print news is really good, I think, for most people. So let me know in the comments your thoughts, what you saw, what you're thinking, what you're feeling. You can come talk to me on the live stream about it. I give random hot takes if you're really interested. And what I think on it, and just like on a personal level that isn't factual, it's just my gut feeling, which is sometimes right and sometimes wrong. But while you're down there, make sure to hit the like button, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, all the fun stuff. You can join our Discord down below. The link is down there, and you can speculate on whatever you want. We always appreciate it. And I will see you all next time.